What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Nostalgic Gamers Club. My name is Zach, and if I'm being totally honest with you, this is just the show where I look at my old video games and I talk about them because I think that they're super cool, and I just, I like feeling nostalgic. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the front cover, back cover, and instruction booklet for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 for the Nintendo GameCube. And I just got to get this out of the way here. They remade Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, and it was phenomenal. I loved that remake. I played that remake pretty much constantly. I wish that we were going to be getting 3 and 4. By the sounds of it, we're not going to be getting 3 and 4 remade. But Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 were really more of my games. I played 1 and 2 growing up, but it really wasn't until 3 and 4 that I was really getting into this style of video game. So for me, especially Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 really holds a special place in my heart. And it's one of those games that when I think about gaming nostalgia, for me, my mind jumps to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. So we're taking a look at the front of the box art here. We do have Senior Hawk there, just doing some sick tricks on a half pipe. At one point, I actually was able to interview the creator of the Pretending I'm a Superman documentary, Ludwig Gür, amazing director and documentarian, and he made a whole documentary on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater as a series, and it's a great watch. If you get a chance to watch it, it's worth the rent for sure. And this is cool too, because this is just so reminiscent of kind of that skater culture. This looks like LA in the background to me, or something, closer to the LA area, something in Southern California is what it looks like anyway. I don't know. We'll have to get, what's that guy's name? Rainbolt, the GeoGuessr guru. Tell me where that is. And I might butcher a couple of these names because while I did love skating, I was never really a skater. So underneath the logo here for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, it's kind of showing who you can play as. So we have Burnquist, Caballero, Campbell, Glifberg, Costin, Lasik, Margera, Mullen, Muska, Reynolds, Rowley, Steamer, and Jay Thomas. This game, of course, had the official Nintendo seal of quality. Let's flip this over to the back here and take a look at this back cover, because I think this is really interesting. And honestly, up to this point, it was one of the few games in general that was using real people. So the cover art is a real person. That's Tony Hawk. On the back, it's Tony Hawk. And it certainly wasn't the only one to do this, but I think it was the most popular to do this. So this is, at the top here, we can see this is a single-player game. You can do 2 players simultaneously, and it uses 9 blocks on your memory card. Up at the top, we see somebody doing, I don't know the names of these skate tricks. Again, I was never really a skater, so I'll just describe it the best that I can. We see this guy up here doing an upside down grind with his board, which is pretty sick. And it says, drop into the ultimate challenge. Underneath that, it says, pros challenge you to make your mark in huge free roaming levels, taking on 190 progressively harder goals with no time limits to hold you back. And that was something that the old games had. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 through 3 had time limits on everything. You had to complete the goals in a certain amount of time, and then if you didn't, you'd have to go back and replay that level to beat them within that time frame. Decide when you're ready to take on your pro challenge and move into the pro ranks, where it's a whole new game. Build your skills, earn respect, and show that you've got what it takes to go pro. Do you think that's where the guy who made GoPro got his idea? Was it from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4? I'm sorry, that was aggressive. Underneath that, we see a few photos here with some captions. This first one says, all new tricks, skitch behind cars, skate on moving objects, and transfer over spines. And it's a little hard to see, for me to see this image in the light, but it looks like that might be from the zoo level. There's a little tour cart there. The next picture shows some split screen action, which, keep in mind, if you really weren't a gamer during this era, split screen was really what we had. That was kind of all we had. I believe with this game, there were some adaptations later on, maybe on the PS2 version, that you could have some online functionality. But especially on GameCube at this point, you were offline, you were split screen with a buddy. And frankly, I missed that era. I remember I would just invite my buddies over and we would grab, something to drink and some popcorn or chips or something. We weren't the healthiest, clearly. But it's just like that, kind of that cliche of you'd go with your buddies, you'd ride your bike all summer, and then you'd come home in the afternoon and you'd play Tony Hawk Pro Skater or whatever game, split screen. It was genuinely a different time and a time that I miss dearly. Underneath that picture, it says new multiplayer modes, including score challenge and combo mambo. What a phrase. I love that. Over here on the right, we see Mr. Hawk himself doing a trick, and it says 14 of the world's top pros challenge you to prove your skills. And one thing that I think was really, really cool and interesting about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater as a franchise in general is the fact that it kind of inspired real tricks. And I shouldn't even say kind of, it did inspire real tricks. There are a good handful of skaters who said that they have played this game and went on to try to do the tricks from the game in real life and then invented those tricks in real life. And again, I'm sure it's not the only example of, something from a video game becoming reality. But I think the fact that these pro skaters literally took a move from a video game and translated it into real life, I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. Let's take a look at the instruction booklet, shall we? Well, we're gonna. Before we do, let's take a look at the disc here. Guys, I miss the GameCube. Honestly, I know most of my videos at this point have been about the GameCube and about GameCube games. I will be doing other consoles as well. I just happen to have the most GameCube games complete in box. But just seeing this disc and like the fact that this is my copy of the game from 2002. I mean, I was like 12 years old when that came out. So this is just a relic for me, and I flip and love it. Moving on to the instruction booklet here. Hold on, we're stuck. Oh no. Okay, we're good. We're fine. This is a thick instruction booklet. I mean, I don't know if you can really tell. Oh God, it's not focusing on it. That's okay. You'll just have to believe me. The front cover is the exact same as the front cover of the box itself. Then we get into some of our controls here. And this is another one that's printed all in black and white, which honestly is a little bit of a letdown for what this game is. This game was so much fun and it had such great visuals that having the instruction booklet be black and white just kind of, I don't know. They could have done better. So this, of course, goes over the basics, controlling the skater. This might be a little bit hard to read. I'll try to hold it as still as I can. So if you guys want to pause it anywhere, you can. But it goes over controlling the skater. You have your basic controls, your advanced controls. Talks about skitching, which I believe was newly introduced in this game, where you just grab onto the back of a vehicle and you can, skitch along behind it. Different tips for things like scoring and camera control. They start to talk about the skate shop here a little bit. They go over the different modes of play. So I do want to read these out here because this was, I think, a big part of this game was just how it handled these gameplay modes. So, of course, there's career mode. There's single session. There's free skate, which is where you just go as long as you want to. It says here, choose a level and skate as long as you want to, practice your lines, hit your tricks over and over again, and master the levels prior to trying to set some records in single session. And single session was kind of going back to the classic, you have a couple minutes on the clock and you gotta go. 2-player, if you and a friend are ready to go head to head, then you've come to the right place. This is where we go to our split screen playthroughs. Create a skater, which was always a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun just playing around and inventing characters. And obviously, this is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. There have been, prior to this, there were far more robust character creation systems. Since this, there have been far, far more robust character creation systems. But it was cool to see in a skateboarding game, especially when you're 12 years old. For me anyway, I was kind of into skateboarding, trying to become a skateboarder. I was really bad at it, you guys. I can't tell you how long I tried to practice learning how to just ollie. And there was this like couch in my parents' garage. Not a couch. It was like a chair in my parents' garage. And I would like hold on to it and I would just ollie. I was wearing like full helmet, full protective gear. And I was just trying to learn how to ollie. And I did. I mastered the ollie. I don't know if I'd say mastered. I could do an ollie, but that's about as far as I got. You did have the option in here. There's a game mode, build a park. That was super fun. I still remember all the parks that I built, me and my buddies. We would just get together and just for hours on end, we would build these really, really insane parks and just take turns playing through them. And again, I do wish there were more games like this at this point where it wasn't so reliant on online play, but that it's something that kind of encouraged you to sit down with your buddies and just, try different things out. Try building a level, try doing free skate. Even if you did play and pass, there was just something really special about that. And then, of course, they go into a little bit more detail about the different types of game modes, how to save and load, all that good stuff. They do go over which levels are included here, so I'll just quickly read these out. We have the College, San Francisco, Alcatraz, Kona, and this is so funny too because they have actual photos. But kind of down to the right here, it shows a little like in-game representation of it, which I think is funny. Shipyard, London, and Zoo. Zoo was my favorite personally. I just flipping loved playing the Zoo level. Then they go over all the different skaters here. And really for 2002, this wasn't bad. Look at the likeness between Tony Hawk and his photo. And that seems to be pretty much the case across these skaters, which there were quite a few. Gosh, look how different Bam Margera looked back then. I always liked playing as Bam. He was the one that I usually chose to play as. They go over a little bit here of how to do the create a skater mode. And then they go into the skate park editor control scheme because, again, this was a different control scheme entirely than the rest of the game. So this is fair. I agree with that. I think that needed to be included for sure. We won't go into all these, but I think this is really cool. If you guys want to pause on the screen and kind of take a look at what's all on these pages, I think it's cool. They show you like the different types of categories and pieces that you can put down on the map. And that's continued on this page because there were quite a few. Whoa, hold on, Zach. You're getting ahead of yourself. And honestly, this next little chunk here is all just about building that out. The options menu, I don't think we need to go over the options in this game. The credits, thank you to everyone involved in making this game because this game was my childhood. And now we're getting to my favorite part of the show, basically, where it's all the ads, which are just a complete time capsule. So Air on the Pro side, the official strategy guide from Brady Games shows you how. And this is cool because it shows you secrets and maps and all that good stuff, but this was more of a skill-based game. This wasn't really a game, this wasn't like you're playing through Legend of Zelda and you need to know where the next key is. It's pretty transparent with you about what you need to do or find or whatever that might be. And then over here on the next page, we have 411 VM. I never really was big into this, but this is apparently the best skateboarding video magazine on the planet. Now, let me just hold on here. We're going to stop for a second. Why is there a magazine about video? Well, I'll tell you why, because the internet was in its infancy and it was really hard to host videos online. But still, it just seems a little odd that there's a magazine about skateboarding video. How much can you really fit into that? And then there are a few more videos here that you could purchase essentially from Tony Hawk. It says brand new vids from Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk's tricks and tips. Tony Hawk's gigantic skate park tour. And there's two of those, it looks like. God, that font is so small. I can't read that. My old man eyes are not, they are not serving me at this point. Here, zoom in on the video. Maybe you guys can see it better. Then, of course, we have your classic mail-in order, whatever the hell you want. Everything had this inside during this era. And then, of course, we had the far, far less popular Sean Murray's Pro Wakeboarder coming soon. And there was Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer and Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX 2 that were available at the same time as this game. And it was so funny to me because these games never had the success that the Tony Hawk franchise did. And frankly, after this game, the franchise kind of fell off a little bit in terms of success. But they saw the success of the first few games, including this one, and they just, wakeboarding, surfing, BMX, you name it. If it was an extreme sport, there was a game for it. And you guys, this game was met with a lot of acclaim. I'm looking through some of the reviews here. Looks like we have 4.5 out of 5 stars, 5 out of 5 stars, 4.5 out of 5 stars, 5 out of 5 stars. And those are across different platforms. But this game is consistently getting like 90 and higher, 90% and higher. And I know that, standards and things like that have changed in modern gaming and in recent years, but you really don't see scores like that anymore. Like it's hard to have a game that gets a 9 out of 10. And there were some 8s out of 10s. The lowest, what the hell is TWZ? The lowest score that it got, and I didn't know this until I was making this video, it got a 7.2 out of 10 for the Zodiac, which I didn't even know the Zodiac was a gaming console, but that was a thing. It looks to be kind of akin to a Game Boy. If you know anything about the Zodiac, let me know, but I had to Google this, and it got a pretty rough review. 7.2 for the Zodiac. The screenshots from the Zodiac make it look kind of neat. I mean, the graphics look decent for the time, especially if it was a handheld, which it seems like it was. And at a quick Google, so it's called the Tapwave Zodiac. It was a mobile entertainment console. I'll be honest, I know nothing about the Zodiac. I saw that in the ratings and I had to look up what it was. If you're a big Zodiac fan of the system, not the killer, let me know. And I'd love to look into this more because that honestly kind of looks sweet. They did come out with a Game Boy Advance version of this as well, which was pretty common for the time. I feel like there were a lot of games around this era that would release their full version on whatever the console was, and then they would port it over. So, for example, this game had a port for PC, PS2, GameCube, Xbox, Zodiac, and Game Boy Advance. It was out for everything. modern day, we don't really see a lot of these games getting ported the same way to mobile. Like you wouldn't see, I don't know if the 3DS was still relevant right now, you wouldn't see Mario Wonder on the 3DS. And Nintendo has kind of remedied that for themselves by having a console that is portable in and of itself, but I digress. Personal opinion, I think this was the last good game in the series. I didn't really like Underground. I know a lot of people love it, so don't hate me for saying that, but it just wasn't my game. It wasn't my speed, and frankly, it was when I had kind of moved past liking these kinds of games, so that could be it in and of itself. But in my opinion, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 is where the franchise kind of tops out. 3 and 4 were my favorites. I think 4 is probably my favorite, just a little bit more than 3, if not just for nostalgic purposes. And with that, you guys, we are wrapping up another episode of the Nostalgic Gamers Club. If you have a game that you want to see me cover on this show, let me know, and I will. I'll try to get a copy on eBay, and I'll try to also make sure that my pricing is accurate. I mentioned in one of my other videos that I made, I don't know, about a month and a half ago, I had looked at the wrong price of a game on eBay. Oh, let me tell you, there were some angry people in the comments about the price that I quoted. I think I had some bad data. Okay, I had some bad intel. And just in case you're curious, this game on eBay is going for next to nothing. I'm seeing copies for $7 or $8. So if you haven't played this game in a while, or if you want to revisit it, this is a great time to do that. Hopefully this video does blow up and get a ton of views, but hopefully before it does that, you guys can get your hands on a copy before maybe the price goes up a little bit on eBay due to search volume. I don't know. I only have a few hundred subscribers, so I'm not. I don't think my video is really going to impact the economy of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Peace.